been feeling like the game is just one of the most crispiest, like one of the best feeling games I've ever played, man.
Yep.
Like I think if you when you eventually do get the shot to play it, you'll see like, oh my God, there is so much about like. It feels like Rivals, but it just feels like a few extra things that were added. It takes a little bit of time to get used to certain things, but most of the time, you're gonna see like it really is just Rivals, just with a little extra flair,
a little bit of polish. What I've taken away from, because this is my first time to play this weekend,
right?
And I got about 2 hours in yesterday. A lot of dubs, a lot of singles, a lot of time with it. I am really, really big fan of how the camera is going to be fixated for these games. What we've seen so far, it's a little more centralized, a little more zoomed in, and it allows for a lot more expression. I've been playing a lot of Fleet. I've had a really, really ton of fun with her, and just kind of seeing how these characters interact, seeing how these animations are going. Just really put some really cool stuff out on the screen, I feel like.
Oh, no, for sure, man. And, like, of course, the other addition to this game besides Fleet is Maple. Maple just got released. She was the most recent release. So, people are kind of saying, like, oh, man, Maple feels amazing. But there's other people who mained Maple back in Rivals 1 who are like, oh, man, this is very difficult to get used to, right?
It's different. They definitely did a big rework on her for sure.
Right.
I am curious to see how this goes because Dan, of course, with the most playtime of anybody in this bracket, is getting a little bit of work here on this first stock. So let's see how this goes.
No, for sure, man. Like, a lot of people who were entering the bracket were like, hey, man, Dan's technically cheating. He's had the most experience in this bracket. He's had months to play this game.
And
so, I mean,
they should know good and well that that's exactly why Dan's doing it.
Oh, no, for sure. No, Dan's definitely just like, hey, man, whether you want to call it executive privilege, whatever you want to call it, man, Dan's going to go ahead and take that to full stream. But,
absolutely. And when I found out that Dan was making himself the one scene, the only thing that came to my mind is the Obama meme where you put the medal on yourself. Correct.
No, for sure. I mean, that's basically it, man. Or it's like at this point, it's kind of like, have you seen that one meme where it's like the guy who's getting the medal for like 5th place, but he's like celebrating with the champagne while everybody else is like for 2nd, 3rd.
Well, listen, that's what kind of the perfect scenario, right?
Right.
That means everybody's going to be talking about the game. Everybody's going to be watching this footage.
Oh, for sure.
Everything's a win for Dan. He could go 0-2, and this would still be a W for him.
Yeah, no, he's going to win regardless, like you said, and that's just the biggest thing here. And right now, like the biggest change up that we see, right? There's a lot of reaction tech chases in this game, so there's a big difference on how people play the game. And right now, Refrain's like up a whole stock, 3 stocks to 2, and unfortunately, Dan has been unable to. Well, actually, as soon as I decide to open my mouth, I guess Dan decides to find a kill right then and there. But big difference here in the game. A little bit of some weird mechanics depending on the DI. You can DI into the stage to tech earlier and stuff like that. And there's also that one. That is okay. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Dan has said that he uses that just to kill like people really early because nobody knows you can tech it.
That's gross.
Yeah, so you can obviously get the stun from the smash or the strong attacks. Forgive me. And then as soon as you get the stun, all you have to do is just grab, and I believe it's a forward throw, and it works like, of course, higher percents. You have to delay the tech a little bit. And at early percents, you have to tech immediately. So Dan knows nobody's going to be able to react to that.
Cheesy stuff from Dan.
Cheesy stuff, man. Cheesy stuff. But right here, and Refrain is actually so another AZ local, but he's also had a lot of experience with Melee, so he's very familiar with the reaction tech chases, how to properly grab people. So it's all, and he's played, of course, does really well in Rivals. So it's like a perfect blend, and he's very experienced in the game and able to kind of give Dan a run for his money a little bit.
My brief time with this feels like this is a little bit more like it feels like that Rivals 1 was this kind of mix of PM and some other elements.
Right.
Rivals 2 feels more like a mix of Melee.
Yeah, no,
like
for sure.
It's a lot closer to it in the movement options and in the shielding and the grapples, of course.
Yeah.
And some stuff to talk about as well, especially with the Rano and a Maple both on screen here. Lack of wall jump after your special fall.
Yeah.
That's a big change that I've heard some feedback from a lot of players that I've been working with the last couple days. I also feel like it's just, you're going to have to get used to it, right?
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like you can't wall jump after any special in this game if I'm not mistaken, if I heard correctly, because even like Zetterburn, when he's trying to do his down B cancel that does the little flip, like I don't believe you can wall jump after that either.
Correct.
So a lot of these characters and a lot of the muscle memory that people have of playing these characters is, I can wall jump after I up B, so I can just up B at whatever point I want. So they go extra low, and then they forget, and it leads to their stock being taken. And obviously Dan's probably going to take that with like we mentioned earlier, full force and try to take this all the way. But Refrain actually showed some really good things here. And if you guys are hearing a lot of cheering, it's because the NASB bracket or the NASB 2 bracket is still going on. I believe that is.
It's Cake and Blazing Pasta who have now gone Game 5.
Yeah, is that Grand Finals recent?
No. This is losers.
Okay. So who just took it?
Cake.
Wow, Cake taking it over Blazing Pasta Game 5 situation with the Garfield, who's basically a Spacey.
Which it's crazy to me because I saw the name Blazing Pasta. That is like a way throwback. It was a Peach main in Smash 4.
Wow.
Like I'm old, right? So like I'm seeing him. I'm like, is that who I think it is? And then I look more. I was like, that is him.
Right.
And doing good in NASB too, man. I mean, already in top 8, but now Cake a step closer to having 2 entries into this Rivals 2 bracket. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, no, I mean he definitely wants that other money from that NASB 2 bracket. But we're going into this game 2 here, and trying to operate with a little bit more platforms here, the 4 platforms set up. But
a little bit more space too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the Hodan Dojo on the first game there. Really, really pretty new stage for us. This is going to have your kind of 5 plat layout to it, which is a little bit unique compared to a lot of the other platform fighters we've seen so far. I'm not really super familiar with this as a major layout we've seen.
Right.
But we just saw Ronald be able to zip around the screen there. Ronald feels a little bit faster in the air in this game, which is going to be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah.
But Dan kind of went away with this one so far. We'll see how Refrain is able to respond.
Yeah, no, and Refrain, I think, like I mentioned before, very familiar with the melee style. But yeah, actually just calling out the special get up right there, regardless, able to kind of tech chase Refrain and gets the up strong to finish off the stock. Dan is starting to cook right now. I think Dan needed that first game to kind of get the bones awake, rattle the bones, shake the fingers off. Okay, yeah.
As a fellow old head, I don't appreciate your comment.
I'm sorry.
Disrespectful to your
I had
elders.
to do it just one time. I'm sorry.
But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Dan's kind of cooking now. That up throw, one of the strangest animations in the game. Every time I see it, I'm just like, all right, they really put their whole back into this.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part is the grabs in this game are so important, right? Of course we see the react and tech chases, but obviously if you DI incorrectly on a grab, it can lead to some huge damage or just the kill outright, right then and there, right? That's what
looking like Soul Rifle.
Yeah, looking like Soul Rifle, man. Immediate up strong to up strong. Crazy stuff coming out from Dan already. A 3-stock lead, well, 2-stock lead technically, but on his 3rd stock, and Refrain almost unable to get some damage in here just yet.
It can be a little bit tricky too, right? So there's going to be new controls for this. There obviously are your shield buttons, your grab button.
Yep.
You also have a parry button that can be set to a unique setting as well.
Yep.
So depending on what your normal controller layout is, it can prove to be a little bit much of a learning curve as well.
Yeah, and that's another big part, right? A lot of players, when there's a shield in the game, you tend to rely on your shield a lot, right? But these are Rivals of Aether's players. So sometimes they, people forget oh wait, I have a parry button, right? And that can be, a huge thing. Oh, this is scary. Yeah. Okay. Oh, another Nair. I thought we were going to see the fair, but Refrain responding with a Nair of his own, able to seal that 1st stock off of Dan.
So tough at this point. Gets the special pummel there. Gets the new cloud, and as you see there, brings it in towards you as well after that pop.
Yeah, no, there's big damage here. But
it's definitely going to be really interesting to see Maple because you saw the new, the special get up produces a new plant.
Right.
The special pummel produces a new plant. You have traditional Lily as well. And of course, tether combos.
Yeah, tether combos. And, well, that's the other thing, right? I don't even know if you mentioned the fact that the tether input is actually different compared to Rivals 1.
It's a button press,
yeah,
right?
It's a button press.
You see it on the screen on their HUD, which is nice. You kind of get an idea of what's going on there for us as you're starting to really learn the game for the first time.
Yep. So it's so basically, for those of you in chat who don't know, up B is the main one that you had to do in Rivals of Aether 1, but of course now in Rivals of Aether 2, you have to press attack and special at the same time in order to do the tether. So, and you do see that in the HUD if you pay attention to the character UI